Hello, hello. Alright, looks like everything's working. I think. There we go. So, hello my lovely toads. Welcome back to the next video in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Track Rankings. So, sorry I didn't record a video on Monday like I said I would, but I ended up being a little busy. Actually, I won't be able to record on Thursday either, so I had to kind of bump the schedule that I was doing back a bit. But honestly, I think it's good to pace myself on this project. I want it to be a passion project, so I shouldn't force it if I don't want to do it. How did I... Okay, hold on. Oh, no.
Auto insurance all seems the same until it's
I don't
time to
care
use it.
about auto
With
insurance.
USAA,
I
it's
want to
easy
get the
buy.
stream started. I should have set this up better. Honestly, my anxiety is a little higher today than it was last time, so I may be a little bit more stuttery. Anyway, yeah, I guess you can see my first track. You can also see that I got the chat in the right. This is pretty easy, actually. I just took this window and shoved it over here. But because of that, you won't be able to see the chat when I go into full screen and talk about the track. At the very least, you'll be able to see it when I go to the edge. So yeah. Let's start with Wee Moo Moo Meadows. So, I feel like this will be a good one to start with because I don't really feel like I have as much to say about this one as I do with others. I mean, first of all, as you can see, they had really gave this track an overhaul visually. I mean, the one on the Wii looked good. I do have a soft spot for that Mario aesthetic they went for at the time, but I mean, just look at this. So yeah, I like that section with the cows, and oh, god dang it, how did I mute it? I like that section with the cows. It gets more crowded, but I don't feel the need to show that. Then over here they add a glider ramp, which I do think is a neat addition, but I don't think it changes it that much, which I think is fine. That's pretty much it. I mean, there was that one section with the Monty Moles and the grass, which I think is a fine climax to it. Overall, I think it's just a really cozy track, but it's still not really anything I think I would go out of my way to play. There are better options in the game. Oh, I forgot to rename the stream. Okay. So where will I rank Wee Moo Moo Meadows? I actually don't really know what to think. I forgot to say this in the beginning of the video, but when it comes to the nitro tracks in Mario Kart 8, as you can see, it's definitely on the positive spectrum. But when it comes to the retro tracks, at least the initial ones, I don't really feel as strongly loving about them. Part of it is the fact that 7 already returned a lot of the best tracks, but I don't know, I feel like the selection in 8 could have been a little bit stronger. As for Wee Moo Moo Meadows, though, I think for a first track it's pretty good. I'm going to put it over Mario Kart. I think I'm going to put it right here. I think that it's just a really solid track overall. It's not going to win any awards or anything, but if you want just a pleasant track, then you can just jump into this one. I'm still probably not going to find myself actively seeking this one, but I do like it. How's that music, though? I will say that I do think that it starts off a little weak, but when the flute kicks in, it does really start to become something great. I mean, I feel like I feel a similar way to the music as I do with the track. It's not going to be my first choice, but I do quite like it. The question is, do I put it at in a high B tier or low A tier? My gut is telling me a high B tier, maybe between Rainbow Road and Water Park. It is still a pretty dang good song, but you gotta remember that Mario Kart hits some really high highs. So yeah. Now it's, no. I'm not doing this, goodbye. No, I'm just kidding. I wish I could. Yeah, next up is GBA Mario Circuit. This track annoys me. I mean, why the heck did Nintendo partner with Safelight to make a track? Safelight's a good company and all, but this is some really blatant advertising, and I don't like being sold to. 0 out of 10 track, never play again. Now the Chick-fil-A track, on the other hand, that's pretty good. Nah, I'm just kidding, it's Mario Circuit. Of all of the GBA tracks they could have chosen for the base game, why the heck did they choose this one? It's the second track in the cup, and, like, there was Lakeside Park right there. Or if they didn't want to do that, well, why did they need a GBA track this early to begin with? They could have put their GBA track somewhere in the middle, but no. They decided to throw it right at the beginning because apparently they just really did not like Super Circuit fans at the time. It's like they just forgot that Super Circuit had good tracks and wanted to return all of the mediocre ones. I've never really cared for Mario Circuit on either the GBA or in the console. I think it's fine, but it's not... It doesn't get a reaction out of me one way or another on the GBA. But that's not inherently a bad thing, as long as this version can spruce it up enough to get a reaction out of me. As you saw by the intro cinematic, part of the track is lifted up. That is a cool addition, but does it really change the gameplay that much? I guess those turns are fine. Then, you know, you go in the anti-gravity section. I do like the placement of that one booster, especially in anti-gravity. It does actually feel like it's kind of tough to hit. As you can see by them missing it by like a mile. But I don't really like the placement of that ramp. I don't like it when the developers put a ramp right in front of a turn. All that means is that if you have the wrong kart combo or playing on the wrong CC or don't know how to trick to the direction that the slope is in, you're basically just at a disadvantage if you when you get there. I mean, yeah, you could just not trick, but like, why put a trick ramp there in the first place then? And then, like, there was a glider shortcut back there. I don't think I've ever taken that because it doesn't even really feel all that great. Like, what do I even say about it? I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. I feel like it is the perfect definition of a C tier track. I think I'm putting it at the bottom of C tier so far. I just feel like they really could have chosen a better track than this. But what about the music? So, one thing to note about this version is that they actually remixed the beta version of the Mario, or of the circuit theme of the GBA instead of the main version. As for why, I'm not really sure, especially since you're going to not be able to unhear it after I say this. This sounds less like a track theme and more like a DVD menu theme. I mean, I already didn't really care much for the track on the... Just like the track itself, I never really cared for the music on the GBA, and... I feel the same way about the... Oh, hey, we're getting our very first C tier song. That's neat. Anyway, let's move on to the next track. Luckily, I think things will step up, because now we have Cheap Cheap Beach. I will say that I do think this was a solid choice. I mean, Cheap Cheap Beach is definitely one of the better tracks. Or it's not one of the better tracks in DS, but let's be honest, all of the good tracks from DS had already been returned by this point. And I feel like Cheap Cheap Beach is just a really solid track for what it is. I mean, first off, as you can see, this track looks amazing. I mean, of course it does. It's a tropical beach setting, but, like, just look at it. Look at that horizon. The way the sun shines off of it and such. It may be my favorite looking track in the entire game, and I am not even sure if I'm exaggerating or not. What was that comm even doing? Anyway, yeah, that boardwalk section that then leads to the ramp. Mario Kart 7's Cheap Cheap Lagoon actually references that at the beginning of it, which is kind of cool. Also, turning that into a glider section does make sense, but I will admit that, I don't know, like, what's even the point of all of the land down there if you're just gonna fly? Anyway. Yeah, you just get to cruise on the beach. Just that part, which is kind of... Oh. There are plenty of sections now where you can go underwater. Obviously, underwater driving was introduced in 7, so DS wouldn't actually have had that. I do like that. Not only does it look visually really nice, but it also adds a bit of depth to the gameplay. Though I do wonder who would actually stay on the beach back there and not go underwater, because, like, staying on the beach there is now infinitely slower. Yeah, there's also this nice tropical forest section, which is pretty cool. And after that, there's a few ramps, and that's it. I'm not really sure what to say. It's the kind of track that there's not much to talk about with, but it's solid for what it is. It's in a similar vein to Moo Moo Meadows. Not one of my first choices, but one that I still like. Though I think I'm going to put it under Moo Moo Meadows. Because, actually, actually, this is a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. Both of them just have a certain charm with me, despite not really doing much. But I do think that the cows in Moo Moo Meadows were an interesting enough hazard to put it above. Cheap Cheap Beach is a fun track, but it doesn't really do much, if you know what I mean. It's a good track, but it's not gonna wow you or anything. Now how about that music? Nice and relaxing, isn't it? You know, it's a nice and chill song, but I don't really think that it does anything particularly special. Yeah, I think I know what tier this one's going in. I gotta say, now we're actually having some tracks in C tier. That's kind of surprising. It does go over Mario Circuit, since at the very least it sounds like actual track music and not whatever that DVD cover music was, but I still don't really have a strong opinion on it one way or another. Now for Toad's Turnpike. A lot of people would... This one is definitely an interesting one because people seem really divided on it. A lot of people really like this remake, and a lot of people think that it is one of the worst remakes in the game. Partially because, as you can clearly see from this preview image, they made one major change to the track. Originally, it was flooded with cars, and there was no way to avoid them. Now there's a little side section that's slightly slower that you can use to avoid them. I'm not really sure what there is about this one. What was that clipping? You saw that, right? There were item boxes in the distance and they just went poof. I don't care about those. What is that? That's weird as heck. Wow, this person is really good at video games. But yeah, they do know the strategy. But honestly, when you find out the strategy of just drift as tight as possible, the track becomes really easy. Because, like, there's actually... Well, it is fairly narrow. There's a part on the track in the side where you don't get hit by cars at all. And in general, you can see plenty of gaps. I just don't think the cars are a really good obstacle here. I still like it better than the N64 version, which I'll get to someday. Short story, I just do not like the N64 version of this track. It is genuinely one of my least favorite tracks in all of Mario Kart, which I know is an unpopular opinion, but it's the truth. So yeah, just... I mean, it's just avoiding cars and such. I don't know, now that the Booster Course Pass has come out and there's been better tracks that also involve you avoiding cars, this one just isn't really all that special anymore. Once again, I gotta say, this game's Shell Cup is not faring very well. I do like it more than... actually, I'm gonna put it under this game's Mario Circuit. That one was... Both of them are basically just figure 8, or basically just very simple shapes, but at least Mario Circuit has that one cool section with a glider. Toad's Turnpike really just doesn't have anything in this title, apart from pretty decent visuals. Wow, the grass tracks did not score very well. Anyway, how's the music, though? mean, it just has a really nice atmosphere to it, doesn't it? You know what? I just thought about it. There. I mean, one thing that you'll notice with a lot of Mario Kart 64 songs is that Mario Kart 64 had a much better soundtrack than any right to. This one's definitely going in A tier. Over Toad Harbor, but under Shy Guy Falls. No, actually over Shy Guy Falls and over Twisted Mansion and Sweet Sweet Canyon. Under Dolphin Shoals, though. A really good song, honestly. It's a bummer that such a good song had to be wasted on such a nothing track. So how about Banana Cup? This will actually be our last stop of the day. As you see by the title, this is only part 1, and I only have so much time. 'Tis a school night after all. So, because of that, I'm only going to be doing 2 cups today, and I'm also only going to be doing 2 cups on Friday. So let's move on to GCN Dry Desert, which is definitely one of the weirder choices for a track, but I mean, as I said, they were running out of tracks they could retro. That's why they had double retros. Also, wow, this desert looks really dry from this shot, doesn't it? Yeah, I'll get to that criticism later. I will say the track actually does look pretty nice in HD. I like how it doesn't look as muted as Bone Dry Dunes. As I said with that one, it just looked a little too muted and drabbed for me. This one looks a bit more vibrant, and I do like the addition of the pillars and temple stuff to make it not look quite as empty as deserts often do. They also removed an Easter egg. In the Double Dash version, if you fell in the sand pit in the middle there, you would get eaten by a giant piranha plant, but here Lakitu just takes you out. A little underwhelming. And then, yeah, on the one hand, it is a really cool visual to have an oasis in the desert track. But of all of the desert tracks that you could have done that with, why did you choose the one that literally has dry in the name? I just find that such a baffling decision. Maybe instead they could have returned GBA Yoshi Desert and could have had a different track, or could have scooted the tracks to the left a little bit. But that's just a thought. But overall, that's the track, and I do think it is a pretty solid one. It's never going to be my first choice, but I think it's a fun one. I think I'm going to put it over Mario Kart Stadium but under Twisted Mansion. Yeah, but that also seems a little low for it, so yeah, there. I feel like it just does a little bit more than these two. Though I gotta say, re-looking at this, I'm kind of surprised just how empty the retro tracks feel in comparison to the base game tracks. Maybe that's just me, but these tracks don't feel quite as vibrant, you know? But how about the music? So, one thing that I've commented on is that Mario Kart 8 does have different takes on old tunes. The original one sounded a bit less sitar-y, but I gotta say, I do really like this remix. One thing that I feel a lot of remixes do is they either sound infinitely better or infinitely worse. This one has a different take, and I just like the fact that this and the original can both live in the same field, you know? I don't just feel like you're in a dry, dry desert listening to this tune. I mean, I guess it's not the most complicated thing ever, but it's still really enjoyable. Alright, it's not a... I don't really like the fact that I could kind of tell where to loop, though. Still, I think this is a good A tier one. It's a little on the repetitive side, but it's still enjoyable. Yeah, that seems like a decent spot for it. Maybe under Twisted Mansion, but above Shy Guy Falls. Actually, maybe... Yeah, you know what? I think I had it in the perfect spot at the beginning. So yeah, that's that. Now, let's move on to the next track. This just feels more awkward to me than it did before. I don't even know why. Anyway, SNES Donut Plains 3. Okay, I have a few nitpicks to get out of the way with this choice. Why did they choose a special cup track from Mario Kart, from Super Mario Kart, and put it all the way in the banana cup? Don't tell me that there weren't other tracks that they could have returned. In fact, don't tell me that there weren't more interesting themes in the game. There were Vanilla Lakes, Choco Islands, all of these. But for some reason, Nintendo only seems interested in returning the most boring tracks from Super Mario Kart. And much like Mario Circuit before, this is the only SNES representation that there was in the base game. So all the Mario characters greeting you is pretty nice, I guess. So yeah, I do like that formation of item boxes too. Yeah, originally you had to make a hop there, but they just decided to make an underwater section, which I do think is the right touch. There's also a shortcut if you would take a sharper left here. But it also skips those item boxes, so it's a bit of a risk-reward. See, you can see that coin back there. I do also quite like those mushroom shortcuts in between the blocks. I wish Mario Kart would do that more often. You know what, I guess I don't really have anything negative to say about this track. Really?
At Honda, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next, all the way to our latest. Introducing the all-new...
Well, I guess while these ads are playing, I can go rank the tank track.
When Doug and Andre came to TurboTax.
Ooh, TurboTax. Aren't you ready for a bunch of freeze? You know what?
We didn't know the first thing about filing taxes this first time.
Over Water Park.
I knew how to
Actually,
get
over
your
Sweet
account.
Sweet Canyon,
We
too.
file taxes for millions
I
of
kind of
new
enjoyed
homeowners
that
and
one more than I
guaranteed 100%
expected.
accuracy. On land?
So yeah, that's the Nitro so that's Donut Plains 3. Pretty enjoyable for what it is. I just kind of wish that they would have chosen a different track. I kind of started it a little more negative than I intended. I do think it is a decent choice. How's the music though? Did they slow down the tempo from the original? This just sounds slower to me. Also, the percussion in the background sounds really off rhythm to me. I don't know. I honestly think it sounded a little bit better on the Super Nintendo. And I've always found it to be a kind of B tier-ish. I think it goes above Mount Wario but under Mario Kart Stadium. In fact, honestly, I feel like I may have been a little too harsh on Mario Kart Stadium. So you know what? For the sake of this, I'm just gonna re-rank it. But then it'll make everything else more difficult, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. And it's not like I think it's better than those two. So, yeah, I mean, it was a foot tapper, I guess, but it's just not quite as good as the Super Nintendo version to me. Now for the real question, though, what's next? Well, of course, we've got Royal Raceway. Oh my god, this is a fan favorite remake. Some complained that they gated off the castle when it first came out, as you can see by this initial shot. But so many people have come out to say that this is one of the best grass tracks ever created by Nintendo. I do really like how much they lean into the Princess Peach aesthetic with the pink. It gives this track a very unique vibe, unlike any of the other circuit track. Well, Raceway, but the Raceways in N64 were just circuits in other games. So I gotta say, I think this is a track where its simplicity actually works in its favor. Once again, there's not really much to comment on. There's just been some kind of sharp turns. That beginning turn seemed a little tight, but maybe it's just the fact that they were playing on 100cc. Or 200. I do like that mushroom shortcut, too. Oh, wow. 200cc is broken. But why didn't you drift? Anyway. Also, that whole thing where you glide with the hot air balloons, it was done before in Daisy Hills, which I also forgot to mention that the cherry blossoms were already done in Mario Circuit, both of which were on Mario Kart 7. I remember that kind of made me have a bit of a disdain towards this remake for a bit, because there was a time period where people wouldn't even acknowledge Mario Kart 7's existence and would act like 8 was the greatest game of all time, and it caused me to be a little unnecessarily harsh to the game. So yeah, but I do think that these things really help sell this Peach aesthetic. I'm fine with them reusing things as long as it's used in a way that's just as good as it was before, if not better. And just a few sharp turns. There you go. I definitely think this is a track where its simplicity is actually its greatest strength, which is something that you don't normally see. It's just a simple, fun track. I think it's going above Dry Dry Desert, but under Thwomp Ruins. Thwomp Ruins has actually been the king of B tier so far. So you know what, I'm going to dethrone it. Royal Raceway is now the new king of B tier, or queen. So yeah. Yeah, I do think it is better than Thwomp Ruins. How's the music, though? I mean, what do I really say about it? It's a really iconic track from the game. Like, it is the Raceway theme from Mario Kart 64, so of course it's really iconic. I mean, I know where this is going. I at least know what tier this is going in. Good old A tier. I don't think it's... Actually, you know what? I think it's probably going at the top of B tier. Nah. Bottom of A. Overdrive, right? Yeah, I think up here-ish is a good spot for it. I just really like Royal Raceway. It's not the best at or anything, but if I want just a simple circuit theme, I feel like this is definitely the one I'm going to go back and listen to. It's just the best circuit theme in the series, in my opinion. Now, one last track, and then, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say goodbye again. Ooh, we're ending this on a high note. Not with Avatar, though. I don't know why they decided to reboot that. No one liked that. Anyway, DK Jungle. I will say they did a really good job picking out the 3DS tracks for this. They just simply picked the biggest bangers they could. Well, apart from 3DS Rainbow Road, but you know why they didn't do that. Curse you, Toad! Never mind. Yeah, I probably should have commentated on a bit of that. I guess my brain is just in, this is the final track and I don't really need to think that hard. Yeah, I do like the additions to the DK barrels on the side, these item box. Those are item boxes, alright. There's a bit of a branch, but honestly, it's pretty much just there for decoration. It's not substantially different either way. And after bouncing on this flower, you get to the first major change. You see, this was originally the Special Cup starter for Mario Kart 7. So originally, these Tiki things were a lot quicker. And by that, I mean, they were actually a hazard. I mean, just look at this. You can't even tell they're moving. They're moving so slow. Yeah. Not only that, but originally there was like 3 frogs over here. Now there's only 1. Oh, no, there's 2. It's a funny face. It's also weird to me that they didn't take that glider shortcut, because this was also true with the 3DS version. Whether you had a mushroom or not, it was more beneficial to take that glider shortcut than it was to go in the frog pit. Also, yeah, they made that one part anti-gravity, but, like, does this really even look like it's steep enough to require anti-gravity? I personally don't think so. It is an interesting enough change, but I don't know. In a lot of ways, I just feel like this is a nerfed version of the 3DS version. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying that, but I mean, just think about it. They made a lot of the hazards a lot weaker. Even this final section. In the 3DS version, these paths were... Actually, I guess they were about the same. Never mind. So I guess that final section was made the same, but, like, I don't know. I do still really like it, though. I don't want my griping to make it sound like it doesn't belong in A tier. It's just a really good tribute to Donkey Kong Country. Oh, wow. I've been really picky with the retro tracks. But I do think this is the first truly great one. So, yeah. Even if I do think it is weaker than the 3DS version in a few aspects, I do still think it is overall really good. But yeah, you can already kind of see that I don't feel as highly about the retro tracks in this game as I do about the nitro. With a lot of the nitro tracks, I had felt something, but a lot of these don't really give much of a reaction out of me. I'm just going to do that real quick because I do think that Mario Circuit at least has a slightly more interesting layout than Mario Circuit. So that'll be it for this stream, I guess. No one ended up tuning in. That's a little oh no, a few people ended up tuning in. Never mind. So yeah, that will do it, and I hope you'd have the... Wait. Oh, I forgot the music. Can you believe I forgot the music? It's almost like it's really forgettable. I mean... the percussion is nice and bouncy. But, like, when it actually starts, it just sounds like the most generic version of DK Jungle of the Donkey Kong Country theme that you've ever heard. It almost just sounds like if you took the original song and put it and gave it a swing tempo. I think the issue is that the good part, or the memorable part, is in the middle of the song. I should feel the opposite way about this as I did with Toad's Turnpike. As you can see, I didn't like Toad's Turnpike, but I liked its music. Here, I really like the track, but I don't really care for its music. I think C tier is the perfect spot for this song, in between these two. So, that will do it for this stream. This time it actually will do it for this stream. I hope you guys enjoyed and have the best day.